Hi everyone, my name is Monique,
I'm Naveen from Before You Play.
and welcome to the end of 2025.
Yes, the obligatory video that you have to make as a content creator
Yes.
in board games.
This is our top 10 board games of 2025. Now, in years past, the way that we would do this is we would do top 10 new to us board games. This year, it's a little bit different. Lots of changes in our lives right now. So we've decided to actually make a list of games that we really, really enjoyed that were released in 2025.
Actually released to the public in 2025.
Yes.
So like Monique said in the past, like we would probably play a game like a whole year before or play a game that was like 5 years old finally in the current year and talk about it.
With one exception, and that's going to be our honorable mentions.
Yes.
They were not released this year. Now, before we begin, we do need to mention a few things. The first thing is that this is a shared list. So this is a list of 10 games that we both mutually agreed on.
We play a lot of games together, of course,
Yes.
and so we decided if it's a game that we both agree, it's on the list. If one of us vetoed it, it's off the list.
Right. The next thing is because of the nature of what we do on our channel, almost all of these games were games that we were sponsored to do playthroughs of, except for I think one of them. So just keep that in mind. And the last thing is that we did not play any games that were released in the last quarter of the year, unless we did a playthrough of it.
Not yet, yeah.
Yes.
So there's quite a few games, obviously, that came out at Essen or at the back end of Gen Con that we probably didn't get a chance to play.
Yes.
So obviously they are not on the list.
Right. So if there's a game that you really enjoyed that you're wondering why didn't it make the list, well, most likely we didn't play it.
For that reason.
All right, let's get into the list, shall we?
Yes.
Would you like to go first with your honorable mention?
Okay, so this is the exception, of course. This game definitely did not come out in 2025.
No.
Only the honorable mentions are like this.
Yes.
It's only going to be two games. This is a game that is classic in the board game industry.
One of the most classic.
One of the most classics.
Right.
A lot of games are based off of this. It is none other than Carcassonne. So I'd actually never played Carcassonne for as long as I've been playing board
Can you
games.
believe that?
I know, yeah. So I finally played it, local convention, and I actually really enjoyed it. Very, very simple game. You have a tile, you place it out, and you're trying to build out this like countryside.
Yes.
You're trying to build out fields, roads, and trying to get meeples on there so you can score in different ways. It's a very, very simple design.
Yeah, you draw a tile
yeah.
and you place it,
Yeah.
and it's a shared map, and you basically just keep on going back and forth in a two-player game until all of the tiles have been placed. It's as simple as you can get.
Yeah, but there's some interesting decision points. You're also trying to build out for yourself, but then you're not trying to create opportunities for your opponents. You're trying to, if you see that your opponent is trying to score something big, you can kind of hate lay, I guess, a tile to extend them and make it difficult for them to try to figure out how to close out a certain section. So very, very good at two players. I enjoyed it. It didn't overstay its welcome, and that's why it's an honorable mention.
Naveen really enjoyed that game.
I did, yeah.
After we played it that first time, he was like, I can't believe I've never played this before. It really does stand the test of time, right?
It like had that arc. Like for me, it's like, oh, it's been talked about, and it's probably going to be so like flat. Like once I finally play it, and then so then my expectations went down, and then went right back up. So I'm like, okay, good. I'm glad it kind of like that
Exceeded your
excitement of it.
expectations. Yeah. All right, my honorable mention is one that I had played before, but this was actually Naveen's first time playing it, and I
Also,
forgot how good it is. And it is a game called Keyflower. So this is not the first game in the Key series.
We were told.
Spoke about that in a previous video. There have been so many Key games, but this is probably one of the more popular ones. It's a game all about building out your own area, a village area or something.
Yeah, you're trying to build your own little mini economy or something.
Yeah, the theme is definitely there. It's a little bit lost on me, but
It's
it
Euro.
is a really interesting mix of like auction, worker placement, engine building. It's just such a unique game.
The
And
flow of it is very, very smooth.
Yes.
Once everybody's kind of up to speed.
Yeah, and we played it at a really, really high player count for a game like that, and it was fantastic. And this is a game that has been in our collection actually for several years.
I had seen it on the Calyx. It's like we have like a Forever Keep Calyx. in the
We do.
house, and it's always been on the Forever Keep Calyx.
Yes.
I had never played this game, but
I
Monique
had.
made sure that game was always on there because she had a fond memory of it.
Yes.
And it had been like, what, 7 years?
It had been a
8
very
years
long
maybe
time
since you had played
Yeah,
it?
since I had played it last.
Yeah, it was very, very good. The flow of the game, once buildings have been constructed, it's like you can auction and take actions at the same time.
Yes.
In the same like sequence of the round.
It's very
very,
a bit
very
strange,
clever, yeah.
actually. It's clever, strange, and unique.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was my honorable mention, Keyflower.
Okay, moving into the list, games that were released this year, 2025. Number 10 on our list comes from Gamehead, which is, I think, a newer publisher. They have several games in their line. designed by Taiki Shinzawa, and it's called No Loose Ends. Now, this game we actually talked about in our most recent episode of Let's Talk Board Games, and this is a trick-taking style game where the theme is you are a criminal of some sort, and you are trying to cover up your tracks, hence why no loose ends. You don't want to leave anything behind. This is one of those games where you are trying to predict how many tricks you're actually going to win, and you're trying to win that particular set of tricks with certain types of cards.
Yes, you are predicting how many tricks you'll win by saying with exactly what number or suit. So it's not just enough to predict how many.
Right.
You have to be specific.
Yeah.
So that's sort of like the thing about this trick-taking game.
Yeah, so the game is set up where there's like at the very beginning of the round, you're basically establishing how many tricks you think you're going to win. You're going to go one by one, laying out cards in front of you face up, communicating to all your opponents that I am going to win the blue 3.
Yes.
So it's kind of one of those things. So as it kind of like builds, you kind of figure out like what people are strong in or you think you are. And I think it plays really, really smooth. It's a simple trick taker. There's this one trump suit and 3 other suits.
Yeah.
But the element of that beginning phase of kind of laying out which cards you think you're going to be able to win, it gets really heady. And, so
It's
I really
simple
enjoyed it.
but very interesting because of that that one element that makes it very like a meta game for a trick-taking game, which are already a meta game, right? So that was probably our favorite trick-taking game that was released this year.
That we played, yeah. So that's our number 10, No Loose Ends.
All right, moving on to our number 9. This is a 2-player card game, which I believe can be expanded to higher player counts, but it's meant as a 2-player game. It's designed by 4 different designers and published by Nerd Lab Games, and it is called Mindbug. So this is specifically Mindbug Battlefruit Kingdoms.
Yeah.
Because that is the one that we played, and that was the one that was released
That's
this year.
the only one we've played.
Yes, so we can't speak on the others.
Yeah, so Mindbug, I guess, is like a series of games where it's basically a 1v1 kind of game.
Yeah, it's a dueling card game where you have these like mutated, well, in the game that we played, mutated fruits, and you're just trying to deplete your enemy's health down to 0.
Yep.
But the thing that's interesting about it is on your turn, it's very simple. You're either playing a card from your hand, which is going to be these fruit mutation creatures, or you're attacking with one that you've already played in front of you. But the thing is, whenever you play a new one down to your area, your opponent has twice during the entire game has the option to use one of their mind bugs to take control of that creature.
So they basically steal it
So
for
basically
themselves.
steal it, exactly. So it's this wild mind game where you're never safe in the decisions that you make. You always have to keep in mind the fact that your opponent can take that card from you.
Yeah, and each card has like these different characters have different effects. So you're like, am I going to bait you with this effect because it sounds really strong? Are you going to use one of your 2 valuable mind bugs to take it?
Yes.
Because I'm willing to give that up so that you can deplete your mind bug so that I can play this really nice card.
Right.
Something that you can't like usurp.
Yeah, besides the whole taking control element of the game, it is a standard dueling game. You know, it has these keywords where it's like, oh, this creature acts a certain way, this one is more attacky, this one can block, etc. But the fact that you can take control over an opponent's card twice during the game really creates the game, I think. It really just adds to the feel of the game.
And the fact that you have to play a card out, survive the mind bug round, and then be able to use it when it's your turn again in the future, you're kind of like, it's like a short build up to being actually able to use the abilities on these different cards, and the different combinations of different things are really, really clever. So we actually acquired, I think, the original Mind Bug in a math trade. So we have not played it yet, but hopefully in the future we can talk about that one as well.
Yes, super interesting game. That is our number 9, Mindbug Battlefruit Kingdoms.
Okay, number 8. This is designed by Reiner Knizia and published by Bitewing Games. Now, this is one of a couple different games in the Mythos line of games. One of my favorites out of that line was a game called Iliad. Now, Iliad is a 1v1. It's a 2-player only game, and it's themed around the... one player is Achilles, and the other one is Hector, and you're in the Trojan War.
Okay.
That's the theme of the game. It's very abstract. And you're basically trying to gain the favor of the various Greek gods by placing out your soldiers that are from 1 to 5 strength. Each soldier, depending on the number, has a specific ability. And so the way you actually play the game is there's like almost like a checkerboard, and all along the edge of the checkerboard are the different deity gods that you're going to be competing over. It's ultimately really it's an abstract strategy area control game.
Yes.
Because these different values that you have is the strength. Once that row or column gets filled out on that checkerboard, whoever has the most in that row or column gets first dibs on the different gods that are on each side. So if I'm seeing something that's very, very valuable, then I'm going to want to put my my strong characters out there, or my strong soldiers. But each ability kind of you can manipulate where people have placed. So it gets kind of really, I'm going to use that word again, heady and kind of tactical, where you're trying to time exactly where you're going to put somebody out, what's valuable, and which gods you're going to be able to kind of get over onto your side. Because ultimately, that's the victory points in the game.
Yeah, it's a really interesting, technically a tiling game, but the feel of it when you're in it, it's very tactical.
Yep.
And, you know, that is part of a 2-player line that Bitewing has. And I'm actually really fond of a majority of those games, but this one in particular was one that we enjoyed from the Mythos collection.
Yeah. So, of course, if you are familiar with Reiner Knizia, it's very simple rule sets, but there's also a lot of math that's involved in his games. And so this one,
Very simple math.
it's very simple math, but it's done well and done cleverly and kind of cleanly. And so this one is no exception. And that's why it's on the list. That's number 8. That's Iliad.
All right, moving on to our number 7. This is a worker placement game with a twist. It's designed by Kevin Wilson and published by Incredible Dream Studios, and it is called Kinfire Council. Now, the first time we played this game was actually when it was on crowdfunding,
In a prototype
and it was in prototype form, and it was actually quite different. And then we actually played the final version of the game where they've made all the changes, and all the changes were fantastic. Because this is a game where you actually have this huge map of worker placement spots, and you're basically trying to do things for the city thematically. You're doing a lot of different things. You're voting on agendas. You're trying to build the lighthouse, which is probably a majority of what you want to do. You're trying to gain resources, and you're basically just trying to score more points than the baddies in the game.
Yeah, and you're also trying to thwart off these like evil spirit. I don't know.
Yes,
what
the
they're-
baddies.
The baddies. Let's call them baddies. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to be attacking the town, and so it's up to you. I don't want to call it semi-co-op, but there is some level of like if nobody handles the bad people coming
There's a
in,
semi-co-op element for sure.
there's going to be some bad stuff that's going to happen. It's going to take
Yeah.
out different areas of
And
the board.
the weight of the semi-co-op aspect does change depending on player count. It's less so in a 2-player game, but in higher player counts, there is more of that dynamic, which I think makes the game even more interesting.
And
But there's-
you can also do like a hidden, not hidden, but like a public switch, like so
Yes.
that you are now playing with the bad people, but only one person can score as them.
Yeah, so as you can see, there's a lot kind of going on in the game. You can also train your workers so that they can do different things for you. It's a really interesting game, and I thought that it was a really interesting take on worker placement. But just to call it a worker placement game is really not enough. It really is a hybrid of a lot of different mechanics, which makes for a really interesting experience. So I was quite enthused by this one, and I was very happy with the changes that were made as well. And so that was our number 7, Kinfire Council.
Okay, number 6 on our list. This is from an indie publisher named Dangerous Games. It's designed by Jesse Iyer, and it's called Siberian Manhunt. Now, this game, the theme about it is it's a 2-player only. It's a cat and mouse hidden movement game where one person is a downed fighter pilot, a U.S. pilot over Siberia, and the other player is playing as kind of the Russian KGB trying to track down this downed pilot. And so the pilot is kind of crash landed in the top portion of the board, and there's different areas where they're going to try to sneak down and try to exfiltrate into China. And so it's your job as the Russians to try to basically encircle and capture this downed pilot.
Yeah, it's actually a very unique experience where the person who's trying to run away can actually find items. You're trying to survive. You're not just trying to escape. You're trying to survive and feed yourself. You can find things that you can use to craft. It's a really interesting sort of unique sandboxy experience almost. And you know, you may have noticed that when we covered this game, it was on crowdfunding. This is one of those unique campaigns that actually launched and fulfilled in the same year.
Impressive, yeah.
So we
That's
were
tough,
actually we were happy to be able to add this to the list because it's a game that we had covered at the beginning of the year that we couldn't stop thinking about since then.
Yeah, normally I'm not a big fan, or like, not a fan, sorry, a big fan of cat and mouse games or hidden
that's okay, you
movement
can
like
say
that.
that.
Not a big fan. Like I
Hidden
played
movement?
Spectre Ops. Fury of Dracula was one that I thought I would like. Didn't like that one as much.
Ooh, that one
Yeah.
has a cult following.
I know a lot of
You're
people
gonna
like that
make
one.
people
Yeah. I think it's because we were playing against a very clever Dracula.
Yes.
It was like
he's very good at
very
games.
out of our grips.
Michael.
Yeah, Michael. If you've seen him on the channel, he was
Yes.
playing as Dracula. This is a different game, by the way.
Yeah.
And it just made it so hard because he was just so good.
Yeah.
But this one, the theme was actually what really kind of drove me to want to play this
Initially.
Yeah, because the
Yeah.
theme makes full sense as to like why you're trying to hunt down this down pilot.
Yeah, and it does make you feel like you're very immersed in the game. It's a very unique experience.
If you play as the down pilot, you feel like it's very thematic, right?
Yes,
Like you are
it's-
trying to survive the elements.
It does things that other games don't, especially hidden movement games.
Yeah.
So I was very, very interested in this one. It's not perfect. Some of the rules could be improved upon, and I think there is an errata for the actual produced game. Other than that, we both really enjoyed it as playing as both roles, and it was just a unique experience. And I think that's sort of a theme that's kind of running through this list. I feel like being in board games this long, we sort of look for those games that provide us with unique experiences.
Yeah.
And a lot of the games on this list are going to be doing that.
So that is our number 6. That is Siberian Manhunt.
All right, moving on to our number 5. This is a game designed by Mikko Peikel. It was released fairly recently. It's published by Capstone Games, and it is called Forestry. So this game was a surprise for us, because we hadn't heard about it at the time, and if you look at the cover, it looks very naturey, and thematically it is.
Yeah.
It's a game where you are a forester who is doing all the things that foresters do. You're harvesting trees, you're trying to replant trees, you're trying to build things with the materials that you get.
You're basically trying to sustain the forest, but also run a successful business
Yes.
by using the wood and then replanting trees so that you can then turn and burn and do it again.
Right, but unlike other games where you're just using the wood to build things,
Yeah.
you're actually investing back into the forest,
Right.
and you're trying to take care of the forest. So that's what it is thematically. But underneath all that nature-based theme, it is a tough strategy game where you are trying to be efficient.
Yeah.
It is an efficiency engine
Big time.
through and through. From the start all the way to the end, like the number of actions that you have at the start of the game are very minimal, but you have the opportunity to increase the number of actions that you can take per round. But to do that
It takes
is
a lot of work.
tough. You
Yeah.
have to grind. So each time we play the game, I find myself thinking like, what can I do to unlock that fourth action? Or,
Yeah, because it's an action points game
Yeah.
where depending on what you do, it's going to cost you X amount of actions. So more actions mean more things you can do.
Yes.
And so when you start the game, there's 10 rounds total. It's always going to be 10 rounds. So it's not like an end game trigger happens. And so you're trying to figure out how can you get fastest way to the more actions so you can go and make these different goods,
Yeah.
sell them to customers, process the wood, reforest the forest, but also still try to get points somehow.
Yeah, everybody has
Yeah.
the same amount of time.
Yeah.
So every time we came back to the game, I just found myself like, really thinking about the game. This is one of those games that after you play it, I was still really thinking about it. Like, what could I have done differently?
You'll get better with plays for sure. The first play was like, oh man,
Tough.
was that a good score? Oh no. And then like you play it again, you're like, okay, I think I made some efficiency kind of blunders there. And then by the third game, you should be pretty seasoned.
Yeah, so this is definitely an efficiency engine through and through that has a nice nature-based theme with a lot of like flavor text in the actual rule book if you want to learn about what foresters do.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one that I really, really enjoyed that I couldn't stop thinking about, and it is called Forestry.
All right, moving on to number 4. This one is designed by Matt Leacock and published by Z-Man Games. It was a very, very popular game earlier this year that we covered on the channel. This is called The Lord of the Rings: Fate of the Fellowship.
Nice.
Yes. This is based off of the Pandemic system. So if you are familiar with that game, a lot of the mechanics in that one are kind of ported over to a Lord of the Rings theme.
Yeah.
But it's not just a pasted on theme.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what a lot of people appreciate about it. Not
Yeah.
only is it going to speak to people who love Lord of the Rings, but also gamers, because they made a lot of changes
Yeah.
to make it a standalone game on its own, right?
Yeah.
The character system, the way that you have to move the baddies around the board itself, the use of the Eye of Sauron, there's the whole dice tower that comes with the game. There's a lot to it that actually makes the game much more of a heavier experience.
Oh,
than
definitely.
standard
Yeah.
Pandemic.
Yeah. You have a
So-
certain set of missions, which one is always trying to destroy the ring, which is, of course, very thematic. The other thing about this game is if you're familiar with Pandemic, sometimes when the cards come through, you kind of predict and know how cards are going to be kind of enacting. This one, actually, the back of the cards that get kind of reshuffled through dictate how the card that is actually flipped is going to act.
The card system.
The card system
is
is a
much
little bit different there.
Yeah.
So you
it's
can't
not just
truly
about
predict.
flipping a card and placing out disease.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to it that makes this game unique.
Yeah, so like one could be like troops are moving, or one is people spawn in a certain area. So you never know if troops are always going to be moving or if you're going to be spawning the enemy. Very, very clever game. I do like the character system where you're going to take control of two characters and you have to allocate how many actions one character is going to take, because you always have to take one action with at least your other character.
Yeah,
so
it's
very, very clever.
Really well done, and it's very replayable because there's so many goals that come with the game.
Yeah.
And it's also really hard.
It's very difficult. Yeah.
It's a co-op game that's very difficult. It's probably going to make a lot of people's lists for a good reason.
So that was our number 4, the Lord of the Rings: Fate of the Fellowship.
All right, moving on to our final 3 games. Number 3 is a game that was designed by 3 different designers and published by Kinzen Key Games, and it is called Galactic Cruise.
Yeah.
So the first time we played this game was actually when it was on crowdfunding, and that was several years ago. And it has made this list now because I believe the official release of it was this year.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you end up watching that video, we made a huge mistake
Yeah.
in the plaything. Just keep that in mind. Please don't make that mistake
Yeah.
when you actually play the game. But if you've never heard of this game before, Galactic Cruise is a game where you are building out a tourism.
You're running space tourism.
Yeah, space tourism. That's what it is. But it's a worker placement game.
Yeah.
And there's a board where you are trying to put out workers to do things like building the space shuttle, gaining the visitors who you're going to send out to space. But underneath all of that sort of fun theme is a really interesting medium to heavy, I'd
Yeah,
say,
medium to
strategy
heavy.
game.
Yeah.
So it's actually not that simple. Although it just seems like you're just gathering the parts and sort of doing all this stuff, but you have to, it's tough. It's a tough game where you
Yeah.
really have to strategize to make sure like the things match so that you can gain the best reward and ultimately score the most points.
Yeah, and like this one, it's pretty interactive, like with
Yeah.
your opponents, because people are going to be changing the board state. Different like customers are going to be kind of moved around based off of what your opponents do. So you're really trying to race people to the different areas, like most Euro games, right? But this one you really have to pay attention. Like Monique is going really hard on this blue, but I need blue.
Yeah,
Like I need to stop that from being a thing.
it's really well done. It's
Yeah.
a worker placement game, but with a bit of engine building.
Mm-hmm.
And that stuff is not new, but when you play the game and you combine it with the theme
Yeah.
and what you're trying to do, it does feel like a fresh experience. And I think it's another one that's really popular this year
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well. So that was our number 3, Galactic Cruise.
All right, moving on. Number 2, the penultimate game on our list this year. This is from Paverson Games, and it's designed by both Dave Beck as well as Abe Burson, and it is called Luthier. Now, this is
Yes.
another game that we had played in its prototype phase at first, and
Yeah.
then, of course, played it again in its final release. The theme of this one is you are a luthier. So if you don't know what that is, you're basically somebody who repairs instruments. And so you are in 1800s. Something like that.
You're in the time.
You're in the timepiece
time of,
Baroque.
Baroque music. Yes,
yeah.
yes. I'm blanking on the
thinking,
years
yeah.
here, but it is a game where
1800s.
you're building or repairing instruments. You're
For up and coming artists of the time,
Yeah.
like Mozart or
you can
Beethoven.
have your own like workbench.
Yeah. So this is also a worker placement game, but also your workers are basically these tokens that have different values on them. And so you're basically bidding for order as to when you're going to take actions and in which sequence. And so there's several different areas on the board where you're going to need to go and gather things or go and satisfy customers' needs. And there's a lot of competition over turn order in this game. That is like a really, really big stressor in this one. And so I like games that kind of create that kind of tension
Dynamic.
and dynamic. Yeah, where it's like, I need to go here, here, and here. But I know she needs to go there.
Yes.
And there's definitely that one card that we both want.
Yeah, it
So am I going
creates
to allocate
Some
the
interesting
time? Yeah.
multiplayer interaction.
Yeah.
It's not just like a solitaire. What is that phrase?
Multiplayer solitaire.
Multiplayer
Yeah.
solitaire.
There you go.
It's not that.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of player interaction
Yeah.
in a heavier Euro game.
Yeah, so this one looks very nice on the table.
Yeah.
The art is very, very well done. I really like the theme on this one, and just it's like things that you've seen before, kind of very similar to like what
Yeah.
you're saying with Galactic Cruise,
Galactic
but
Cruise.
just the right combination of fun to familiar.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, but
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
It makes for a very heady experience.
Yeah.
And a lot of games have come out over the years that have this like music theme. I feel like it's kind of hard to do.
Like Lacrimosa, that was another
Yeah,
one.
stuff like games like that,
Yeah.
where there's like a classical music theme or other types of music, and I feel like it is difficult to do, but this is my favorite so far
Yeah, it's
that
good.
have come out with that specific theme.
So that was our number 2 game this year. That is Luthier.
All right, moving on to our number 1. These last several picks have been heavy games,
Fairly,
just
yeah.
so you're aware. And this very last pick, our number 1 top board game of 2025, is by far the heaviest.
Definitely.
And it is a game designed by Vital Lacerda, published by Eagle Griffin Games, and it is called Speakeasy.
Yes.
So this is
Yes.
another game that we had played initially in its
Primitive
Kickstarter
stage.
form.
Yeah,
It's
call
primitive
it that.
stage, and that's sort of a running theme here. The thing about it is when we cover crowdfunding games, it's very difficult for us to be able to go back to it. So this is sort of a thing that we're looking forward to changing.
Yeah, we
you know,
found
in the coming
ourselves not covering games that we had covered in the prototype phase,
Yeah.
but we still want to talk about
Not being
them
able to
later.
speak on
Yeah.
them. Yeah, so that's why this year we made sure to include games that we had covered in the past.
Yeah.
And so if you're not familiar with Speakeasy, this is a game designed by Vital Lacerda, who we are really big fans of his games. We played basically all of them. And
Every single one, yeah.
this is a game where you are thrust into the era of Prohibition.
Boom.
The mobs are running rampant.
They're bootlegging.
They're bootlegging.
Yeah.
And it is also technically a worker placement game, but there's a lot more to it. It's like worker placement, it's area control. If you're familiar with Vital Lacerda's designs, they're very, very heavy. So this one is no exception. The very first time I played this game, I really struggled learning it. So if you got your copy recently and you're in this boat, just know that I also struggled the
Money.
first time I played it. But after, I would say the third time, I really fell in love with this design.
If you can really immerse yourself in the theme of every single thing that's going on in the game, it makes learning the game a lot easier.
Yeah.
I will say.
Yeah.
Because I'm familiar with like prohibition kind of stuff that was going on then. So
Uh-huh.
like it for me, like when I was being taught the game initially, it was like, oh, okay, oh, so that makes, so okay, that's where you're getting the smuggled like alcohol from Canada. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what this is. Okay, you're trying to run this nightclub. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, you're trying to oust these people here. You're trying to
Yes.
avoid the cops. Yeah.
But once everything clicks, ooh, it's so good. It's just such an interesting experience. The
Yeah.
mechanism, it's so much player interaction. You definitely want to play it. I want to say at 3, maybe.
We haven't played
It's
it
still-
too.
Yeah,
We've only played it at 3, I think.
It has a
Yeah.
really strong. No, we have played it at 2.
Oh, we have. Okay,
We have.
we played
But
it.
it does
actually,
have a very strong player interaction aspect
Yeah.
of the area control
Yeah.
when it comes to the different areas of the different districts of the city. I just think it's a really good mix between theme and mechanisms this time around. If you were not a big fan of like say Inventions, which is one that sort of lacked a little bit of theme, then this one is really a return to both design and mechanics as well as theme, and it's also innovative.
Yeah,
I
very
felt.
much so.
Speakeasy is probably my favorite of the most recent.
The most like recent
Yeah,
3 or 4.
designs.
Yeah. We do plan on doing another re-ranking of the Vital Lacerda games. Now that I think since we've done that, maybe 4 games have come out since then.
Yeah, it's like every year.
Yeah, every year he's
It's
basically,
amazing.
the team, Ian O'Toole, Vital Lacerda,
Yeah.
Eagle Griffin Games,
And the
they're always
games
coming out
feel
with one.
very different.
Very different. So I don't know like what the timeline is on like how creative process is, but so
We
we're
can't
probably
keep up.
We can't keep up. Yeah. So we're going to be probably doing a re-ranking video. I think we're going to want to. Obviously, we're not going to play the games on the channel, but we'll probably play everything one more time.
Yeah.
From start to finish again, almost like we're running our own background Vital Lacerda series.
Yeah.
And then we're going to re-rank them.
But there you go. That was our favorite game that was released in 2025. That is a game called Speakeasy.
There you go.
And there you have it. Those were our 10 favorite games that we played, I suppose, this year. We played a lot of games that were really, really good.
We did, yeah.
So I will say it was very difficult to make this list. And that is part of the reason why we decided to narrow it down to games that were released this year. I will say we played a lot of games that went to crowdfunding that were very good this year, so you can look forward to them coming in the upcoming years. But we would love to hear what your favorite games were, especially games that were not on this list that maybe came out later in the year that we haven't been able to play yet.
This last quarter of the year, just completely like off the map of what is new in board gaming. So if there's any really big like Essen releases or Gen Con releases that we should know about, please let us know in the comments so that we can kind of try to prioritize them going into 2026.
Otherwise, we really hope you all had a wonderful year and are having a wonderful holiday season. Merry Christmas to everybody who celebrates, and also Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, yeah.
And we will see you all in 2026.
That's it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.